If you've ever planned a virtual summit, a conference, or a podcast with interviews, you know that the hardest part is not producing the content, it's wrangling all the guests. That's why, when I went to speak at the Blogger Breakthrough Summit this past year, hosted by our guest today, Liz Stapleton, I was absolutely blown away. Liz has figured out a process for how to manage over 50 virtual guests for her summit every single year, and seemingly able to do so without breaking a sweat. I was so impressed that I had Liz sit down with me and give me a quick interview, sharing her best tips for how she plans and manages virtual events, including all of the guest details. A clip from that conversation starting now.
Before you reach out to anyone, before you're even brainstorming, I'm thinking about, okay, what is the process? Because like I said, I've adjusted it each year to kind of decide what works best. And I've done this 6 years now. So what is the process that I need, right? Because the first year it was a form, but it was then having to follow up when people didn't complete everything in the form or whatever. It was like a Google form and a Google Sheet,
Yeah.
just like, so I've gotten better. I've tried tools that will automatically follow up. It was okay, but then I had trouble like with the video file size, and so I had to adjust that. So like I've tried a lot of different things. So it's really thinking through what is all the information I'm going to need. So I always debate this, but I always do a 2-step speaker onboarding process. Sorry, there's my camera 2 steps. So there's the give me all the basic info. That's where I'm asking for your name, your title. Oh, my fun little thumbs up.
Hey.
Your name, your title, your headshot, your bio, your website, your social media handles. I'm trying to think what else I asked. Oh, I think I asked for like your address because I send out thank you cards afterwards if you give me your address.
Oh, sweet.
What is everything you need from them? So that's like the first step. I think I asked for the address. I asked for, and I'm like, you need to sign the speaker agreement, right? Like a speaker agreement is non-negotiable. It has to be signed. Otherwise, they're not going to end up getting the form where they submit their session fine. Oh, I asked for a tentative session title in the initial one.
Got it.
Like it doesn't have to be a finalized one. Like you don't have to have recorded at that point. Like it should take them 15, 20 minutes max to fill out that form.
Yeah.
And if they have everything ready, like I personally have like a text shortcut for all my different versions of my bio. So I can fill out those forms real fast. And then the actual like session onboarding form, that's where I'm asking for the session title. I don't ask for a description anymore because I use AI from transcripts to come up with a description. That way they're more consistent across the board.
Oh, that's smart.
But obviously the video file. And then I do have set up because I do like a Dropbox file request, and I have it set up in my automations to add the name of whoever submitted it to the file name. So stuff's easy to find.
Oh, that's nice.
I do that for headshots as well. So I have like a Zap that when they submit it to Airtable, it will then upload to Dropbox and add the speaker name to the headshot. So I'm not constantly trying to find things. I do that with the like
beautiful Zap.
Yeah. So I do that with lots of things. I also will ask for their call to action title, their call to action description, call to action link. If they're contributing something to the swag bag or the speaker bonus bundle, same thing. Speaker bonus bundle requires an image. It requires a mock-up. Same thing. I will have an automation so that their name is associated with that image. So I'm not having to like dick around for things because everyone has different file naming conventions. And some people, it's like, if they're digitally organized like me, it's like one.png. So if I don't have stuff automated to name, then I'm digging for it. So it's like a second form, which I know some people do that all in one, but I feel like for me, for getting their basic information, for getting the contract, it like saves the time of, hey, if you don't get that done, like there's no point in doing the other one.
So you break it up into 2 pieces just so that way it's a little bit more manageable, it sounds like, and then connect them together.
Yeah. And then, of course, if they're contributing to the speaker bonus bundle or like part of the like paid access, then that's another contract that they do have to sign. It's only triggered to send if they are contributing to that.
Very cool. And this is mainly through Airtable, it sounds like. The forms are coming in, and that's what's the main intake that's determining what goes into Dropbox, what triggers more forms. You've just got that one central hub once they actually are in the Yes bundle.
Yes. I mean, I think the exception is like the contract tool I use, right? Like that's not through Airtable. So sometimes it's a link in there. Sometimes it's a Zap that it like will trigger to send based on like what's completed. Because I do ask, that's another thing I ask in the initial intake is, do you think you're going to want to contribute to the speaker bonus bundle? Do you think you're going to, are you good with agreeing to this promotion schedule to earn a higher commission? That's something I experimented with this year. do you want to contribute to this talk? So I ask like just yes or no questions, so that I
Yeah.
can make sure to send the right form so that people that aren't contributing to the speaker bonus bundle, they're not seeing that and then being like, do I need to fill that out? Because that could cause
Mhm.
confusion. So there's different. So to make it super simple for my speakers, I have like 3 different versions, 4 different versions of all the forms and like yes, nos and stuff. So it's very complicated on my end in a sense, but ultimately all the information ends up in the same place, and it's to make it a smoother experience for speakers, which it sounds like
Mm.
it is.
Yeah, no, it is. And one of the things I really like that you do is you're not just like writing, do you want to be in the speaker bundle? Like you have explanations with most
Uh-huh.
of the stuff that you have, which I think is one of those like details that maybe from your background feels
Yeah.
obvious. But for anyone looking to like listen to this and say, oh, I want to do this when I'm next inviting people onto my podcast or on my like spelling out what things actually mean, because what bundle means here is different than here. Session means this, session means like every one of these kinds of things is a little bit different. And I like how you always break it down. You don't just assume someone or you don't assume I know all of the different boxes and widgets.
Yeah, so it used to be all part of a speaker guide, right? But people were always reading the speaker guide. So
Mm.
I think that speaker guide, I still use the speaker guide to like pull everything out for myself and I'll copy and paste it in places where people need it.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, but I want to say it's like 20 pages in a Google Doc. Like
Yeah.
it's not a small amount of information, but not everyone
Hmm.
needs all that information at once. So, here I can see how many pages it is real quick. Let me see. How long was the 2025 speaker guide Google Doc? And I think I do provide that Google Doc as well. Um, oh no, I guess this one was only 14 pages. Only 14.
Only.
There's no images though, guys. There's like one table and no images. So it's just like 14 pages. Um, so yeah.
That's wild. But well, I like how you break it up in both places. So you have the master file, but it's going in places where it's like, reminder, this is what it means in this universe.
Mhm. And I still get
Let's
questions.
Yeah, I'm sure I was part of it. It's just a lot of stuff that you're wrangling.
Yeah.
Let's say all these forms get filled in though. It seems like the natural next step is to start piecing it together. So assuming you have multiple people, you've got different time preferences, is that just like a jigsaw puzzle, or do you have some kind of master secret or an AI that like helps you get the whole schedule together from that point?
So scheduling is one of the hardest parts. So I will say actually before I get
Mm.
to that point of putting it all
Yeah,
together is I check everything. So that's why all people's links have to be
it's a good
working
tip.
like December 5th because I've got to test them all.
Mm.
I've got to test all the CTA links are working. I got to test all the speaker bonus bundle redemption information is working. And I got to confirm that they signed their contract because if they haven't signed their contract, it's not being included. Um, so going through that, and I actually had an issue this last year where I went through everything, it checked out fine. The summit went live and people were like, this link doesn't work. Well, the speaker
Oh,
had given me a pretty link, for their thing, which worked fine when I checked it, but in between me checking it and the summit going live, they'd adjusted that pretty link to be their affiliate link for registration and not realize that was the link they gave me for redemption. So
oh,
so it really I mean, I was able to fix that quickly, right? But ultimately they got, like, no list growth because
yeah.
they had messed up the link. So
Hmm.
I will be doing a little more of like, "Hey, reminder, these are your links next year." But like, it wasn't something I did, but
Yeah.
there's also not a whole lot I could do about it. So checking everything and then putting it all together, you're right. So one of the things when I'm building it out is because I've done this for years and I have 50 speakers, is I have some idea of what topics will go live each day. Right. I always know day
Mm.
one's foundational based topics. Those are going to be tech, finance, legal, things like accessibility, and then day five's like really focused on like scaling and creating digital products and stuff. A3 is some sort of marketing, content marketing, right? So because I already
Mm.
have
You've
that,
got your buckets.
yeah, I kind of have my buckets, and people know when they submit, they're of like, hey, this is my topic, this is my tentative. See, that's another thing that goes on the speaker intake form is what topic. Sorry, I should just pull up the form and say everything that's on it.
I mean,
And
you're welcome to, but I think this is some good points.
So they kind of should have some idea of what day anyway. And I put that in, I
Mhm.
don't know if you remember in the form of like, hey, if you're speaking on this topic, likely you're going to be on this day. Do you have availability to be live in the chat that day? And there's
Yeah.
some flexibility, there's some adjustments that happen. Um, Now, some people don't require speakers to be live in the chat at all. And since it's all pre recorded, then it could be nothing needs to happen. You just have to figure out when you want stuff to air. Um,
Mhm.
I don't do that because I'm extra. So I have speakers live in the chat at a certain time. So so I've done it now where every day all the sessions are at 6 a.m. Pacific time. But speakers
Mhm.
are live at a specific time in the chat to be available for questions. Um,
Cool.
and then I also have live panels day 1 through 4, and then I do a live workshop on the Friday, day 5. So the live panels, anyone that shows interest in being a panel, they have to explicitly say they will be available at this time if they want to do this
Mhm.
panel. Like, don't submit to me that you want to be on this panel if you're not available. Um,
Mm.
so that the panels are actually pretty easy because they already know the time. They're saying they're interested. I just have to like decide who's on it. So I almost always have more people who want to be on a panel than can fit, which is why I always ask for a first choice and a second choice.
Mm.
So that, if I can't make the first choice happen, is a room on the second choice panel because there's always one panel that not so many people want to be on for some reason, or it's a better fit the other one or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm able to, and I always end up having someone like last minute, like my kid's sick. I'm so sorry, and
Yeah.
then someone who was going to be on it had dropped out reasons. It's like, hey, like, do you want to jump in? Yeah, okay, like, and it's worked out. So
Mm. So have backups, it sounds like, if at all
yeah,
possible.
and if you're organized and you like know that your communication with your speakers, it's pretty easy to like just
I guess I'll just open it up more broadly. You talked about someone pulling out last minute. That happens. It sounds like having a backup and having people that you can just reach out to are a good plan. What about, tech issues? People forgetting to show up because they just like didn't put it on their count. Like any tips on that part of it, the actual show up portion? Because that sometimes feels like the hardest.
well, I do send a calendar invite. And I do ensure they accept it, and I make sure that I have the right link of where they need to show up in the calendar invite, so that helps a lot, and I have it set to remind them, like, 10 minutes beforehand and the day before to be like, "Hey, by the way, tomorrow, this is happening." So that
Mm,
helps a lot. The bigger tech issues is, like, the site goes down, and that sucks.
right. Which has
I've had
happened to you, right?
Yep,
I think you mentioned.
yeah,
Can you tell
but,
that horror story real quick? I would love
uh,
to know what.
it's happened to what you each year, basically.
Ugh.
So with the custom WordPress site, it's me reaching out to my hosting, being like, "Hey, like, can you help me get this back up?" But basically, it's not it's a good thing in the sense that the site's so overwhelmed, right?
Mhm.
Bad experience though. So, but I tend to, treat it like how I would want it to be treated if I were on their shoes. I sent out an email. I'm like, hey, site's down, working on it, right? Don't worry,
Mhm.
access will be extended. And that's really easy for me to do on a like website basis where like on a custom WordPress build, I can just change the time it expires, right? Like it's really easy. It's a little
Yeah.
hard on Hey Summit because then you're having to like adjust things. But I mean, Hey Summit's still a great tool and they've actually changed a lot. I might try them for a mini summit this year just to see how they've adjusted. Um, but so basically I send out an email, and that's where also not having it all in one if it goes down is I still have access to ConvertKit. I can still email my
Yeah,
list of
have that
attendees.
SOS ready.
Yeah, of like, "Hey, site's down. Don't worry, I will extend access. I'm so sorry. Thank you guys for being so excited." And then as soon as it's back up, "Hey, site is back up. Access has been extended to this time." Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, so that's a big so that's basically how I handle it. Um, this time it
Mhm.
happened like immediately when the summit went live. So that was very stressful first day. Last time
Oh.
it happened, it was like midweek and it was like in the middle of the night. So I didn't know about it for like hours. So
Oh,
that meant stuff
that
was
stinks.
extended for hours, which again,
Right.
not ideal, but that's also like
The
the
reality.
best, yeah, the best way you can handle that, right? Like, I'm
Mhm.
still gonna make sure you get 24 hours access, guys. Like, don't worry.
Yeah, but I'm totally stealing that, just to be clear. We are drafting an SOS email in ConvertKit
Yeah,
just in case. So that, because like, I
just
love that idea of, like, you just being able to quickly say, "Something's wrong, we're on it," but you're not, like, wrestling with segments and, like,
yeah,
proofreading.
yeah, yeah.
Like, that's not
It's
what you
just
need in that moment,
be a
especially if you're
human.
also over here wrangling tech.
Yeah, it's just be a human, right? Like, be a
Yeah.
human. Treat your attendees like humans. They're not just numbers.
All right, so hopefully you can see how stealing just one or two of these practices that Liz has made normal for herself can make your next guest wrangling project so much calmer. Go ahead and write your top takeaway in the comments. And don't forget, if you're a Process Driven member, you can find this full 1 hour ad free video inside the Process Driven membership. If you are not a client yet, what are you doing? I guess I know what you're doing. You're watching YouTube. So, in that case, go ahead and watch this next video here on the end screen. Keep going on your journey. And until next time, enjoy the process.